Welcome to the Golden Square Podcast with your hosts, Linda Scott and Sharilyn Fisher. Are you ready? Because we're starting now.
Hey, Dad.
Hey.
You're not Sharilyn Fisher. You're Todd Miller.
The Todd Miller, just with
The
Linda
Todd
Scott.
Miller. The Todd Miller. Well, let me just say to you, the Todd Miller, that I am so grateful and honored that you are able to sit in for Sharilyn Fisher tonight, who's having a couple of little issues.
Right.
It's life. It's life. So I'm glad you're here, especially for this particular event tonight.
Yes,
And I think it's very important to you and your peers. So God do things, because you were gonna have to come anyway. Sharilyn was here or she wasn't here. So again, I say thank you. So I want to get started because there's a lot that we need to cover tonight. So if our producer would bring on our guest. Hey, Mr. Friend.
Hello, everybody. How we going? How's it going?
Fine. How are you?
I am blessed. I am favored, and I am tired. But you know,
all in that order.
Like that.
Yeah, that's not going to stop. We got to keep pushing.
Right.
Well, you know, when you do what you're doing, I am blessed that you're blessed. I am glad that you're tired, because that means you are out trying to make some things happen.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. So just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, you know, I'm a simple guy, but, you know, my life is not simple. I've been in politics for the last 34 years. I'm a Marine. Well, you don't say former Marine. You say I'm a Marine. I'm an educator for a local school district around here in Houston. And also, I'm a businessman. I've been in business for the last 30 plus years, and I always try to give back to my community. And too much is given, much is required. And I live that, and I try to make sure that I honor that.
Great, great. So this is the season that we need to have as many of you as possible to be on the show to educate. And what my interest is to educate our young people.
Right.
And that is why Sharilyn and I decided to have Todd to come forward so that he could bring his peers, and then we could share the information and educate them. So not only are you educating his peers, but you're educating our people as well. And now I say our people, our peers who are over 60 plus, and you know, just in inviting them to learn stuff that they don't know.
Right.
So my thing is, Todd and I was talking, but granted, why should I vote for him? Why should he vote for you? What's the importance of your runoff?
Well, let me start off by saying I'm running for Fort Bend County Democratic Party chair. And most people don't understand what the county chair do, their responsibility. And because of that, they don't know the importance of it. And so I kind of use this analogy. This is a sports analogy, is that if you have a favorite sports team, you have favorite positions and players, and the number one position on any team is the quarterback. And that's what the county chair is. The county chair is that quarterback that you need to take you all the way down the field into the end zone. And if you don't have the right quarterback, then you have seen that played out before. They don't go nowhere. They don't make the playoff, and they don't win. It's the same thing when we have elected officials or trying to have candidates to get to that particular position to help our community do the things that we've been needing to get done in our community. And that's what the county chair do. The county chair is the quarterback that orchestrate the victories for our like-minded elected officials to continue to do the great thing that they've been elected to do for us.
So go ahead, Todd. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you, the first things first, what made you want to get into politics?
Well, you know, I was kind of drafted into that in a number of ways, in a number of times and seasons. First time back in, I don't know, when I was a kid, probably around about 10 or 12 years old, there was a guy named Ernest McGowan over in Houston, 5th Ward City Gas area. And Ernest used to come around our neighborhood when he was running. and he'd give us these little leaflets and stuff like that, and he'd walk with his handlebars, sideburns.
Yeah.
And, used to give us little things and say, go past this side at this door, this door, this door, and we would do it, and our parents would let us do it because it was earnest. McGowan, the man over there in City Gas in Fifth Ward. And so that's when I first got started. But, mainly when I was in the Marine Corps, they say the military is blind. But let me tell you, the military is not blind. We may have the same uniform on, but, you still that particular alphabet that's probably number 20, I think it is. But it's who we are. And I learned early that my name is Fred Taylor, not Mr. N. And he was always fighting for some type of equity and some type of, equal opportunity to be promoted, to be in the front of the line, and not to be in the front of the platoon. Where if you've seen that movie play out, the black guy's always on the front. And what happened to him?
They died.
We've seen that movie, right?
Right.
So, I more than 1 or 2 times, if not more, than I've always been reprimanded, but not wanting to be in the front of the line. And that's the only time I don't want to be in the front of the line. So when I got out the Marine Corps and I got out into the real world, I seen that the only thing that can happen to make things happen is to be involved in politics. Right. And I put around $100 in my pocket for the last 24 years looking for anybody that can take it from me. If you can tell me right now, young man, Mr. Todd Miller, and I always ask the millennials this, because they always ask, why should I vote for you? So I'm going to ask you this. If you can take this $100, I give it to Miss Scott. If there anything that you can think of right now that politics don't touch, affect, effect, or have something to do with, I'll send that $100 to your Cash App. Go. You're on the clock.
You sure you send it to the Cash App?
Hey, I got Cash App right here.
Okay, then. No problem. That politics.
You only got 5 seconds to do it. You should be off your tongue.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even do it. I try to think. I try to play out with it. I can't do it.
So that should answer my question, Ms. Scott. When you want to ask me, why should I vote for you? Because you cannot find nothing. I mean, nothing. Even your hair that you got, the way you got it cut, getting kids kicked out of school.
Exactly.
Right? We got a new law called the Crown Act that these people over here in Barberry School District is kicking kids out of the whole district because a kid won't cut his hair or shave.
Right.
So it just goes on and on and on. I'll never lose that $100. If I don't have nothing, I'm gonna have $100.
Exactly. So that's why you should be voting for him, Mr. Todd Miller, tomorrow. So we'll get into the last date of voting, but it's just so important that in talking with the young kids and the younger generation, it's are you ready to vote? Are you going to vote? No, my vote don't count.
Yeah, please elaborate on that, because a lot of people my age love saying that. Like, I feel like they don't understand like the concept of voting and how serious it is for real. So, like, can you help us understand that?
Yeah. So first thing I want you to do whenever somebody say that, to do what I just did to you. Take out $20 of your pocket and try to give it to them. But before you give it to them, ask them to tell them what politics don't touch, don't affect, or don't hurt. And if they can give you a legitimate answer, give them that $20. But I guarantee that you'll keep that $20. So to answer your question, it goes almost to the point of how can you not want to vote? And the second thing is you have to do your research on who you vote for.
Exactly.
You should vote because a non-vote is a vote.
Exactly.
But then doing your research.
Say that part one more time, Mr. Fred.
A non-vote is a vote. We call that the undervote.
Yes.
If 100 people is registered and only 80 people voted, 20 people undervoted because they chose to skip over that election. And so what we have right there is a lot of opportunities. And so young people do that. They go and they find a friend and they'll vote for that and they walk out. But we got so much more to go. My name and my ballot is at the very last end of the ballot because I'm the county chair. So if you don't go all the way down, you're going to miss me every time.
Right. And then the county chair is, are you only working in that county? Can you go out? Okay.
Yes. So that's why, it's the Fort Bend County Democratic Party chair, and they have the Fort Bend County Republican Party chair. And so our adversary is like having the Steelers and the Cowgirls playing each other. And when you caught that, honey. I'm glad you caught that one. So it's like, who is going to be that coach of that team? And how effective is that coach of that team? My goal is to get all of my Democratic candidates elected to that position. Their goal is to do the same thing. Unfortunately, for the last 8 years, we have not had a good coach.
So, and being and they don't understand the importance of the primary election either. So, and when she's saying she's talking about the younger generation as well, and then some of us too, because some of us just don't go to the poll until it's time to elect a president. So you're only voting every 4 years, and there are things that are happening in between now and those 4 years. And then we complain about it, but we didn't go vote about it. So we have someone like Ted Cruz sitting up there doing absolutely nothing, but you didn't vote, and you was the undervote for all these different things, and this is what we get.
That's what you get. So let me explain when I hear people say, what's the primary?
Yes.
I'm going to use a sports analogy also because I like football. I love basketball. And so I use sports analogies a lot because young people kind of understand it also. So when this thing that at the end of the season is called an NFL draft, you familiar with that, Todd?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the NFL draft and the NBA draft. So you be waiting around. They have parties and stuff like that to try to pick who that player that team is going to pick. And you really invested in that, right? And so when they pick the wrong player, you get mad. Why they didn't get Shaquille O'Neal? We had an opportunity to draft Michael Jordan. We had an opportunity to draft, I don't know these young players because I'm going to go.
Todd Miller.
Yeah. I mean, Todd Miller. Yeah, Todd Miller, right? So we didn't draft Todd Miller, right? And so we should have drafted him because he's a hometown boy. That's what the primary is. The primary is our opportunity to draft our players to go into November. So if you look at it like that, like in every 2 years, because it's every 2 years, we go to a primary. And so, and every 4 years, we go to another primary for the presidential election. But let's just stick with 2 years, because that's what happens every 2 years. And so every 2 years, we get to go into a what we call political draft. And a political draft is when all of the players that want to be in the NBA, the NFL, and the political arena, they come together in December and they file that last weekend in December. And then in January, they start the little, what they call the NBA, the combine. Combines, right? And so when they do the combines, we're looking at them, we're absorbing them, and we're looking to see who can jump the highest, who can do this and all this stuff like that, right? And then come March, the first weekend in March, we choose them.
Right.
And so we choose them. Yeah. So then when we come talking about the runoff, it's like two players you can't make up your mind. So you're like, okay, I'm going to choose these two to come back and try out for me. And that's what me and my opponents doing. We're trying out for you guys. And so then after we try out, you're going to have to make a choice again. You're going to have to pick this person or that person to move on to the NBA or the NFL. And that's what we call a runoff. Because you got two people they couldn't make up their mind on because they was equal.
Right.
But something got to set them apart in that what you call playoff of the runoff, right? And so that's how important it is when it comes to the primary. Is you choosing your team.
Right.
Then you got to be stuck with your team for the next 2 to 4 years. So if you want that player that nobody else wants and you get stuck with that player, that's what you get when you undervote or you don't vote in a primary.
Or you blind vote where you just pick anybody on there. And
because that's what I'm saying. First of all, you got to get involved. And then you do your research. So you won't be blind. It's called being educated.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, okay. So, Todd, I know you had a lot of questions. I don't want to take all your time because I really want your peers to be involved in what's going forward. But my thing is that I hear all the time about the politician is we vote you in and then y'all disrespect us by not even responding to anything that we request, or that's the part right there that kills or make that apple rotten. How do we fix that, Fred?
Well, it goes back again. When you have, back in the day, you used to have the Raiders. I'm using sports analogies. Man, they used to get in trouble, drinking, driving, all that stuff, because the coach let them do whatever they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And they didn't respond to the public paying all that money for the tickets, right? Because they bought that ticket, they want a good player, they want a good team on the field. In this process of politics, the county chair is responsible for helping orchestrate a good team. We want to make sure that when we put that team up in November, we want to make sure that person is going to be responsive, respectful, and that person is going to make sure that they hear their public. And so I always tell them, and everybody know this saying already, we vote you in, we can vote you out, right?
Right.
And that's the case. But what I want to do is not be that coach that always changing up the team. We want to be able to have some players that are seasoned. And this is one of the reasons why I am going to be very keen on making sure anybody moving forward under my position as the chair, to make sure that person is that person who they say they are. Right now, we have people that are Republican running as Democrat because they can't get elected as Republican. So they jump in a Democrat because we let everybody in. We don't care. We don't vet them. We don't look at them.
Wow. And then they switch from the Democrat thoughts to the Republican where they want to be, and that's it. It's
so
done.
Then
you want to go,
he's a Democrat.
He did this.
They run under the Democratic flag, but when they get elected, they operate as a Republican, voting with the Republican, doing Republican ideas, and toting the Republican water. And I'm noticing that, and I'm seeing a lot of that in Fort Bend, because in 2018 and 2020, we call ourselves a blue county, but we wasn't blue. What we had is a lot of Republicans that had this Trump, no Trump type of flag.
Yeah.
And so they switched over here to the Democratic Party, and they start writing checks because they got the money to write the checks.
Right.
And we start allowing them to run for office with knowing that they are Republican. And so when they got elected, because they bought that position with that check, then they got in there, and all of a sudden we wonder why we're not getting the things that we said we was going to get when they said what they're going to get on the campaign trail. It's because my pastor used to say this. I'm saying real quick, Miss Scott. He said there's a parable where the person picked up a snake that was frozen. She let the snake in the bosom. The snake throw it out. And when the snake throw it out, what did the snake do?
Bite him.
The snake do what the snake do. You shouldn't be surprised.
That's right.
Don't be surprised the snake bit you. It's a snake. And don't be surprised when we let Republicans in our Democratic Party and they act like Republicans. We got to be smarter than that, not to let them in. We got to be smarter not to pick that frozen snake up and throw it out, because they're going to bite us every time.
So is there any way that we could we can't stop that from happening, even though we have to research who they are and so forth, but is there any way that we can stop this from happening?
I was talking today. One of the things I'm going to do is there's a position for every elected official in the county. We line them up. We know that these are our players right here. And then we know that there's Republicans in these seats. We put somebody in every race against a Republican. But also we need to make sure that the people we putting in, we vet them. We do the research. We make sure that they have a history of helping. They make sure they have a history of giving back to our community, not just popping in and doing these things just so they can get noticed and writing checks, but have a history of doing that. You don't have to come to the meeting like they try to tell me. Oh, Fred didn't come to the meeting for the last 8 years because you know what? We didn't have a quarterback. What we had is something else. And I wouldn't call that a quarterback. I call that what we got right now is we lost 4 judges under this leadership, and we're going to continue to lose more good elected officials if we don't change leadership right now, the right leadership. And so how we stop this stuff, you got to have the right leadership, and the leadership that's been around, understand it and see it, and don't just accept it because they write me out a check.
Don't get bought.
Don't get bought.
Don't get bought.
Don't get bought. That's why I said at the beginning, I'm a businessman. I make my own money.
Right. Because that's the killer and that's the kicker right there. Let me put a little couple of dollars in your hand, in your pocket, not knowing that dollar gonna come back to you because you think you're smart, but you're not. Oh, Donald Trump. But you think you're smart, but you're not. And it comes back and bites you right in the butt every time. So it's so easy to be bought, but it's so hard to pay it back.
So hard. And we got to be careful. And the young people are smarter than we are as older people. I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
They are so much smarter because they don't necessarily buy into all of the BS.
Yeah.
Because they have this sense, and I say they come and educate. I'm around them all the time. You cannot just blow smoke with them because they're going to challenge you. These kids that I work with right now every day, why? Back in the day when mom and dad said something, you do it because
that's what it was. That's it. That's it.
No, you do as I say, not as I do.
That's it.
You know, young people nowadays, they can question mom and dad, and mom and dad instead answer the question over and over and over and over because that's what we got now.
Right.
And that's good. We need, the more you ask questions, the smarter you get, the more you learn. That's why I say they're smarter than us. We did not do those things because we was blindly following exactly what our parents told us to do until we got old enough, but we were so stuck in that concrete of what we was taught, we can't get out of it. Everything is not straight Democrat, even though I'm running as Democratic Party chair. Because sometimes we have to be independent minded.
Right.
And that's what a lot of our young people are. They think on their own.
Think for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But even though they think on their own and they think for themselves, they still lost.
Well, they need guidance. They need guidance.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to understand how to guide them.
Yeah.
And we can't push them and force them. We got to lead by example. In the way that the light takes them where they really should go. And once they feel it and they trust you, see, that's the key. Once they trust you, then they will open their eyes and their heart and their mind and say, okay, you can lead me. Because otherwise they're going to do their own path because they got in their mind where they want to be.
Yes, sir. But you said that you're an educator. Can I ask what kind of educator you are?
I'm a special ed facilitator for special ed, everything. You can say everything, but I teach math, I teach history, I teach government. And so those are my specialties. Those are things I love to do, even though I am certified as a SPED teacher. But like I was telling somebody earlier on another opportunity that I had is that when I was at Cashmere High School, those who know what Cashmere High School,
right?
And I was teaching this history class, and I was telling the history of slavery, how they came from the Dominican Republic, and then it came to Plymouth Rock, and then they became in the different colonies. And when they got to the colonies, the folks didn't want us, the clear folks didn't want us to read or have a book or nothing, right? You know,
right?
So, and then I got there early, and I slid $5 in all the books, about 30 books, I put it on the desk, right? So I turned around to my board, my back against them. And I was just drawing that line. Where the ship came from the Ivory Coast and landed on the Dominican Republic and even went to Cuba and all these places. And I said, we got to America. And I said that when we got here, they didn't want us to open up a book, educate ourselves. They didn't want us to read, but they knew already if we open up a book, it would be enriching. We would be smart. We would get value. We would be able to earn on our own. It's opportunities. I end my class by telling somebody, pick up all the books and bring them on my desk. They set them down on my desk. I grab one by one and flap it open. $5 came out, $5, and the kids just lost their mind. And I said, crazy. I just told you, all you have to do is open up a book. It's right in front of you. Education is right here in front of you in Cashmere, over there in Cashmere Garden, Fifth Ward area, right?
Yeah.
Take advantage of that. And so when they looked at that, they said, Mr. Taylor, that's my $5. I said, it could have been.
Could have been, but you didn't open that book.
If you would open that book. So every day then they start coming in and they start looking through the books and for that $5. I said, don't look for the $5, read.
Read it. Read it to earn that $5. Read it.
You know,
and you know like that's what
it's a saying.
They would say,
You want to hide something from
whatever.
somebody.
Yeah, you want to hide anything put in the book because what? They ain't gonna get it and read it. So
hey,
you
want to hide something from black people, put it in the book.
Exactly.
Give them a football, a bat, a basketball, and hide the money in the book, and they'll never get it.
Never get it. Never get it. And it's so important, even as a parent, to enforce our kids about opening those books and wanting to read. A lot of times back in the day, the parents were working so hard, they didn't have the time. What would say our parents didn't have that. Go get that book and sit down and read. But then you had some of those parents that stayed home and, hey, read this book. Let me read it to you. And we've missed that.
Yeah. Right.
And now we depending on this generation to pick up that book and read it and fight for what we missed.
Right.
But if they don't know how to fight, how can they fight?
That makes sense because she's always my granny's always telling me if I start a new job or something like that, she'd be like, the first thing she'd do is read the handbook. I'd be thinking to myself, like, read the handbook. I'm good. I don't need no handbook. 2 weeks later, Granny, my bosses did this. She'd be like, well, read your handbook and you know what to do. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, sometimes we got to bump our head. We got to do that in order for us to understand, If it's kind of like driving down the street doing 45 miles an hour when the speed limit 35, you wonder why you got a ticket.
Right.
Read the speed limit.
Right.
And that's the same thing. We don't want to read. Now, there's a situation over here in Fort Bend still at some of our African-American school on the east side, Hightower, Thurgood Marshall, Willow Ridge. If you're familiar with those, 90% of the kids coming over reading on a 5th grade education going into the 9th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me say it again. 90% reading on a 5th grade education.
And
they're reading on a 5th grade education because we're not emphasizing reading. And reading is the foundation of everything from math, science, chemistry, everything. And when they cannot read at the grade level, that means they're not going to pass these STAR tests.
Because Florida was the FCAT and all that good stuff.
State mandated tests and all that.
State mandated, I think, crooked tests, but it's those things that are designed to keep us back anyway, but we can't get around it because we don't vote.
Right.
Because if we vote, we can vote these type of systematically unfair tests that they have put in place to hold us back in a certain sense. But we also got to realize we live in this world with that situation. So we got to do what the law of the land do and say so we can compete.
Right.
Yes.
So we have to compete. And if that's the rules that they set, then let's do it and do it better than them.
Right. It's adjust.
Todd, this generation right here, as I would always say, we didn't have the computers. We had to look in the encyclopedia. And what? I'm like,
I said right. I don't know what that is.
Right there. So
they don't.
They have no clue. And I really wish that we could bring those books back so that they could learn the value of really researching stuff. Because you go to Mr. Google and Dr. Google and they tell you the apples is green and orange. That's what you go through. Well, Google said it's that.
Yep.
But
then they got that chat stuff, that chat 326.
That is
chat. You got everything. Yeah, everything you need.
It's a ruined society, man. That chat. What is it?
Really has. It really has. And you have your English teachers out there who are just like pulling their hair and just crazy. You didn't put a period there. You didn't put a comma. You didn't do any of those things. But
that's
yet
so true.
Still,
that's so true.
You know what else, Miss Scott?
What, babe?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
These are the people that generation that needs to take care of us.
Yeah, they are.
And I be saying for the nurses coming up, I'm like, girl, you got to take care of me. Make sure you know I need this medicine. But if you can't read it, I'm stuck.
Hey, we messed up.
That's the whole thing. So I wish we could bring them back. I really do.
I don't even know how they gonna get a house or a car when they can't even sign their name. Ain't no cursive writing in the school no more. No more. They print everything. So that means anybody can print your name and get your money and your everything.
Oh my God. That kills me when I see it. And my son, the baby boy, I really, Jesus, I don't know what are you a doctor already? Because I don't know what that just said. I have no clue. And when you get mad at me because I balled it up and threw it in the trash, when you could write it and I can read it, then it's okay. Because if I can't read it, if a 2 or 3 year old can't read it, it can't be read. We don't know what's what. You don't even know how to make a and his name is Timothy. So what's the easiest tea that you can make? And that's the easiest. And I'm like, okay, it can't. I don't know. But my babies are gonna learn how to write.
Right.
That you got to write it in courtesy. I gotta see it. See it. We gotta practice on how to do that. That is so important. All these little things to them is not important because they're on the computer.
Yep.
I just typed everything. And then I found a font to sign my name. That's it.
Yep. That's it.
And you can't.
It'd be so funny because like she said about English teachers and stuff. Like sometimes when I text my granny and she used multiple periods, I'd be like, dang, is she mad at me? Like, did I do something wrong? Why she put all these periods? But she's just having a regular conversation. I'm like, okay, let me relax. Let me just chill. Little funny things like that.
Because you guys are used to not even using no type of anything. You just go. My name is yeah. I mean, just go because it's this text conversation and type of language that y'all got that just kills me. And but
kills us.
Hey, we got to have a decoder.
Right.
Decoder. You know.
Right.
But back to voting. That's why. You know, these things, what we're talking about as far as even cursive writing in school and even teaching our history in school, it comes from who we have in office, who we have in office and who we get behind and who we research. And so I say this to you, Mr. Todd Miller, is that when you think about and ask these questions, I understand most of these kids, Ms. Scott, they do social issues. They do.
Can I stop you one quick second?
Sure.
We have to take a commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Hold that. Fred will finish that when we come back.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Sharilyn Fisher, and I am so excited about Joyful Playhouse. Let me tell you what Joyful Playhouse is. It's a funplex center, but it's like no other funplex center in the Houston and surrounding areas. We will be dedicated to children with disabilities and special needs. Not only we have services for the children, but we will have services for the families and the siblings. Joyful Playhouse needs your assistance. Will you please go to our website, www.joyfulplayhouse.com. There you will find a QR code to make contributions, and there's also a link where you can sign up to volunteer. That is www.joyfulplayhouse.com, and you can also find us on all social media at joyfulplayhouse.com. I'm excited, and I want you to get excited with us. So come on aboard to joyfulplayhouse.com.
All right, welcome back. Our special guest tonight is Mr. Fred Taylor, and he's in the runoff here in Houston, Fort Bend County.
Got my vote.
If I just say Texas. So, Fred, go ahead with what you were stating before we went on a break.
Well, you know, one of the things that I think is important is that when we need to focus in on why the youth don't vote, is that we have to understand how they think. That's hard to do because we can never, ever, it's like in the special ed field, we got this thing called spectrums, and you'll never meet the same sped kid because the spectrum is so broad. And so it's the same thing with kids. And so, but one of the things I found that bring that group together is an issue, a cause, because just recently I was talking at a forum and I was telling them that, hey, what if you lost TikTok? And they all jumped up mad at me. They were like, TikTok? You should never say that they're going to take TikTok. Well, guess what happened a couple of days later? Congress passed this law that said if Japan or whoever it is don't sell TikTok, they're going to ban it in the United States. And they still wait on that. Correct. And so kids came back and they was calling, Mr. Taylor, you did say that. I said, I wasn't telling you that I'm for banning TikTok. I'm telling you that it's going to take something like y'all to come, for something like that, for you guys to be even interested in what's going on in your government. But that's just one issue. But it's also like I told this guy, and I don't know if I told this story, and I told it earlier, is that I was walking on a campaign trail. And I was walking and knocking on doors, and I came up on this guy that was in the garage, and I walked up to him. I say, "Hey, my name is Fred Taylor. I'm running for Fort Bend County Democratic Party chair, and I like your support." The man turned to me and said, "Man, sir, I don't do politics." I said, "Okay." He said, "You don't do politics." I said, "Thank you for your time, sir." And I turned around, I was walking away. And as I was walking away, he said, hey, why is my property taxes keep going up and the school board taxes is just skyrocket? I turned to the guy and I said, "Sir, I don't do taxes."
Yeah.
I told him I don't do taxes.
Yeah. That's it. You don't do politics. I don't do taxes. And we're not trying to meet each other.
Yeah. So I went on to tell him, well, that's where you do politics, because the school board is one of the most important, election, because you're dealing with your kids, and they are the highest slot on your property taxes that charges you more than anybody else. So you have to have the right people in there that's going to be looking out for you, because those taxes can really just skyrocket. Fort Bend done pass a bond for $1.3 billion.
Wow.
1.3 billion. Why did we give them $1.3 billion? They say they needed it to build new schools. It's not in my community they building it. It's somewhere. They building over here in Clements, and where these $10 million, $20 million houses, a brand new Clements High School, right?
Wow.
But why? They got all technical stuff, but we still got wires that duct tape going all the way across Hunters Glen Elementary and all this other stuff that we don't have technology in. Blunt Elementary and all these other different schools on the east side, but yet they're not focusing on building new schools. Glover Elementary been having a sign in front of it for $70 million, $13 million, and it's been there for 5 years that they're going to build another Glover Elementary over here off of Columbia Blue, and they haven't done it. But we just passed $1.3 million. That's because our community did not come out and say no to that bond. Use the money that we got, allocated towards paying teachers more money, and let's build schools that are dilapidated instead of upgrading schools that's only been built more than 20 years. You got Hunters Glen, been there since I was in high school. I've been out of high school 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, before me. Yeah, Mill, I've been out a long time.
Wow. Well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's so important. It's important that when I told that guy I don't do taxes, but he's talking about his property taxes. So you do taxes. You do politics.
You do politics, yes.
Right. That ties back to what you said earlier. You said everything ties back into politics for real.
Everything ties back. Everything ties. So when young people say that, Todd, you got to understand, I don't care what it is that you touch, you do, you drive, you drink, you smoke, you look, your comb, your hat, whatever it is, who you date. Who you date is all political. Your church you go to is all political.
Yep. So who you date? Who you date?
Focus on politics right now.
Don't think you can date anybody.
Okay. Who you date? I have to who is that? Okay, but anyway, so we are talking politics, Todd. Yeah, but it's do you think, Fred, that we will ever grab these young people? Now, I've seen some young people out there who are doing some really great things. The younger generation, far as Todd age, 25?
25,
do you see us bringing them in anytime soon, like tomorrow, to go vote? do you see that happening?
I always want to say yes, but I'm going to tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take something very serious for them to face, even if you start with TikTok, but it may be something else, Like we had this Black Lives Matter thing. I think they gave us a black eye because of the things that they end up doing and how they end up acting and coming out. That's unfortunate. But they was motivated. So that's got some young people engaged because they had a cause. They had an issue with this, shooting young black males in the back and Martin. And I can go on and on and on and on and on about that. So they got kind of motivated. But I think with that, there was some direction that was lost and there was some lack of real serious leadership.
That's very true. That's very true because I feel like when I was younger, when I was in middle school, I remember the Trayvon Martin thing happened. And I told my mom, I was like, yeah, Mom, when I get to high school, I want to go to the law academy. I want to learn about politics and stuff like that because I know about politics. I got to sit down with a Florida representative named Ted Deutsch and stuff like that. I was really involved and just like, oh, I like it. And then along the way, I don't know what happened. I just lost it. I just lost the drive. I don't know how to say, you got to drive for it, the motivation for it. So how's a person like yourself keep that motivation in my peers pretty much?
Well, great question, because this is the thing that I want to do when I get in office, because, I'm an educator for one, and two, I'm an ongoing educator. But I think we need to have programs in the middle school that transfer into the high school. And as a party chair and as a party, we need to be partners in that. We need to make sure that our middle school teachers and staff and principals understand that we're not trying to persuade them to the Democrats or the Republicans or do politics. Well, we want them to be civic minded. If we have to use it as an enrichment program, they'll say as an enrichment program in middle school, and then provide programs and awards for them going through a process and saying that you have been engaged from the 6th grade to the 8th grade. Now you're going to graduate into the 9th grade in this academy. The academy doesn't have a party attached to it. It's all about teaching civic engagement. And so when you try to stuff things down young people's mind, they're going to spit it back up. So you got to let them digest it in the way they digest it and let them just, be there at the table and pick what they want. And that's how they stay engaged. You cannot force nothing on these kids. My son, for example, I told him when he was in pre-K, if he make all A's, he can keep his dreadlocks because he wanted some dreadlocks like somebody back in the 80s. And so he's born in 89. So whoever was popular back there with some dreadlocks, Bob Motley or somebody.
Yeah.
And this idiot, he kept making straight A's all the way through college and got on the presidential list, not the dean list. And made in November the 15th, when he was 17, turning 18, he dropped out of college when he's supposed to graduate in that May. Why? Because he said we forced it on him. And he said that I wanted to keep my hair, so I kept making A's. Now I'm 18. I'm going to do what I want to do. And, you can bleep this out. I wanted to kill him. Me and him didn't talk for 10 years. 10 years till he turned 28. Because I said, boy, all this work we put into you. He said, just that. You put that into me. That wasn't me, Dad. Old enough to express that, I realized that we put that pressure on him so he can keep his hair. Because he had like Bob Marley, like Boomerang Man. And I hated it. I hated it. I used to keep him nice, clean cut, but every time I wouldn't take him place, I was like, I don't know who that boy is. I like, that's not my son. But
that's funny.
He graduated from school when he was 14 years old, high school.
Wow. That's funny. Cause that's my granny. Your beard getting too big. Every time I go to the barber, well, just take some more off his beard real. I'm like, man, come on, just take a little bit more.
That's the style. Them girls like them. The girls dictate everything.
I need him to survive.
Right.
I got a day or two.
That's us, Miss Scott. We need them to survive.
That's what I said. I need him to survive.
They gonna figure out their own way how to do it.
But I can't see it though, Fred.
It's not for us. It'll drive us crazy. I lost patches of hair pulling out of my head trying to control.
All right, this whole patch right here belongs to Todd.
I'm like, no. Hey, check this out. You know what I did with my son? I cut him out. I didn't give him no money. I didn't help him on no bills or nothing. I said, you on your own. I said, "This mama, don't give them nothing because when they have to struggle and make it on their own, they figure it out real quick." And I say that light bulb and that light in that refrigerator ain't gonna come on by yourself. And I said, you can't come to my house and open my refrigerator. They were coming out trying to do all that.
That's it. But we're going to another break. We'll be right back with Mr. Fred Taylor, y'all.
All right, keep that.
Hey, this is your girl Linda Scott. I am here to introduce you to Linda S. Jury 1426. Now, some of you know me, some of you don't. But if you don't know me, get to know me. Check out and scan the QR code below. Look at the inventory. I made this. God created. I put it together. See you soon. Okay, thank y'all for joining us again. Mr. Fred put his baby out, y'all.
I did, man.
But hey, it's okay. It's okay because I did the same thing. And it had to teach you how to be strong. Yeah. And I try to pass this on to my grandson, my granddaughter, the whole works, because you got to use your head. It's not I'm forcing something on you. I'm trying to help you not make a mistake that I see you going. But sometimes you got to make a mistake. And then when you come back, I'm just going to look at you. Well, okay. I told you.
That's what it is. Hey,
what you want me to do? I already pre-warned you and you didn't take that. So now you figure out how to get out of it. But I just need them not to be politicians, but to research and know, as you said, who would be the best quarterback, period.
Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
Say it again, Todd. I'm sorry.
That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. So I really want I would love to see more politicians mentor these young men for sure, young men, and keep them in their pockets. There has to be a program that we can create for them, as you said, Fred, that we need to create a program for these young men to teach them how this works. I didn't say I wanted you to run for president, but I want you to know who you chose for your president.
Right. Why you chose them.
Why you exactly, Todd. Exactly. Why? So in a part of your education, and I know you stated that these are things that you care for. Say, God forbid, you didn't get that last runoff. It wasn't you. Do you stop or do we keep running this race?
Absolutely, you don't stop. You need a break after a hard-fought race. I took some time to myself to regroup. It may be a day, maybe 6 months, maybe a couple of years. And sometimes you need to rekindle your family because it's hard on your family when you're running political. When you put your name on that ballot and people attacking you, they saying things about you that's not true, and you can't fight back because then you look like you're negative campaigning. So you just got to deal with that. So sometimes you have to take a little time to yourself. When I did that, but you got to get back in the fight, and that's what I did. I took some time to myself, and now I'm back in the fight. But I never stopped participating because I did fundraisers. I did meet and greets. I've hosted things at my house. I've done things that, candidates that I felt like they was like-minded with me that I wanted to help. I did those things. I stayed engaged. And so you have to have in mind, if that's really who you are, and you want to be a community engaged, a community-minded person to give back, then you keep doing it. If you're doing it for different reasons, then you're going to fall off and fade away. I have not fallen off. I have not faded away. I haven't done any of that. I have taken myself to kind of, what we call this mental health thing that we have to do to kind of keep ourselves. And we haven't discussed that in the Black community. We need to discuss that more, the mental side of things, because that's
my next thing that was on my list to discuss with you of the importance of the mental health that I say yesterday, and I can only speak because this is what I've experienced. Yesterday, you did some crazy things, and we said, "Girl, you crazy." But now you have to be careful because today you can't go and say, "Well, You crazy?
Yeah.
No, I'm having a mental breakdown. And
crisis. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. How do you deal with that as a politician?
Well, we're in the public eye, and it's hard because people want to always use anything against you. They want to judge you, and you want to do it and handle it on your own. I'm fortunate. I got a lot of family members. I'm number 21 of 22 kids. I got 16 sisters. And so I got a lot of family that I can always go back to. But I did learn that even with the family that I have, you can't always talk because they ain't going to do the right thing for you because they're going to say what you just said. Boy, you crazy? Get your crazy behind out. Get out. That's what you're they get you back in. You're like, come on, I need a little compassion,
Right.
So you go to the barbershop, right, Todd? And then we can talk it out. But in reality, sometimes we need to seek professional help where we can go in there, we can sit there, we talk to somebody that's non-judgmental, that doesn't have any relationship to us, that can just listen. And that's so important. And it took me a while to get there to realize that, even Black males, we need to have that calibration. We need to be able to put our masculinity aside and just say, you know what, I need help. And it's not that we crazy or mental or this or that. Sometimes we get in a position where the stress get heavy. And we need somebody to lift that off of us. And it may not be just talk to, man. I mean, it's so important to have somebody that can talk to you that don't judge you. And it may not be your family because your family gonna be hard on you. If you got a family like mine, they don't give you no break.
Mine neither.
Mine don't give me no break. I was raised in a tough household.
Yes.
If you cut your arm out, put some ice on it.
Right.
Drink some Robitussin.
yeah. Put some Dr. Titian on it or something.
That's it. And
so
it was okay. It was okay. That's how we dealt with things. But now, as you said, cut your arm. I remember my brother. They was trying to diagnose him to, amputate his foot, and he was like, "No, I don't think I should do it." I said, "Dude, do it. Let them cut the foot off, and then we'll have a race and see how fast you can hop along."
Oh my God!
You must be my sister from another mother, because that's what mine would tell me. Boy, you lost a leg. You got one more.
Right. But we have to be careful.
Yeah.
Nowadays, today, because these kids are not brought up the way that
they're not as tough.
That tough skin that we keep saying we have to show tough love. They don't even understand what that means. And half the time, some of us are giving tough love, but don't even know what tough love is themselves.
Yeah.
So it's my concern is totally for the young generation.
Yeah.
For so many reasons, as I don't know what this man named, but they Republicans and number 45 who gonna cut Social Security for them. They've worked. See your face?
I need mine. I need all mine.
That's what we need to educate our kids. We got to show them their future tomorrow. We've worked and said, okay, well, we'll draw Social Security at this age, and we have a budget now that we're living on. But if we gone, they don't have no Social Security. How would you take care of yourself? You're 90 years old. You're still trying to build a house.
Can't do it.
You can't exactly. So, how we educating these kids today is the most important piece for me, Fred. That I can not say that enough. We got to get the programs together to save our tomorrow.
Yes.
Because if not, we lost. They lost. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I think a lot of it is our fault. I don't blame the kids. Because my dad, he was a great dad, horrible husband. And he provided for us. I mean, like no other dad ever did. And I tell this story that my dad was a great dad and he did this and he did this. And then I turn around and I have to say that he was a bastard.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from him. But what I learned is what not
to do.
And to
Mhm. Mhm.
And so as a man, I had to realize the things that he did towards my mom made me who I am, because my mom have always told me, don't ever do a woman like your dad did me.
Mm.
And so I start off telling my story, and the kids think my dad is the greatest thing since sliced bread, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, we watch, we learn, we imitate. And I watched, I learned, but didn't imitate because I had somebody to tell me that is not the right thing. So we have to start telling our kids what's right and what's wrong, but we have to show them. And so with that being said, I had to let them know that I still love my dad and I appreciate him, because like I said, the undervote when you don't vote, just like the things that he did that I don't do, I still learn from him.
Exactly.
I learn from him. And so when we come to making sure that, you know, how do we teach our kids to and lead them in the right direction, we have to be that example.
Right.
And it's hard for us to be the example, especially in the Black community, because a lot of our Black homes only have the mother and the grandmother. I'm an educator. There's more grandmother raising kids than there is mom and dad.
Yes. Yes.
Mom and dad. I can name some community leaders right now that elected official, 3 of them, that's raising their grandkids, because the mom and the dad is nowhere to be found. They come there, eat at their mom and dad house every other day, and they leave without their kid. But what we have to start doing, and what I learned, is that we have to let these kids not see. Let me say this: we want better for our kids.
Yeah.
And when we want better for our kids, we make their life soft. And we don't want them to have to go through what we went through, because that's not what I want my child to go through, right?
Yeah.
And I messed up. You're gonna think this is pretty interesting right here. I moved to Summerwood, and I grew up in Fifth Ward. Used to play under this house that was on some pillows, right? And it was cooler under the house than it was in the house.
Right.
My brothers and sisters would sweep the floor. The dirt would come between the floors. You don't know nothing about this. All right, Todd. And so when I grew up, I used to say, I'm never going to live like this. I don't want my kids to live like this. So I moved over there. They had sidewalks. They had stuff that I never had. And 2 things that happened. They didn't know how to come back to Fifth Ward or City Gas and interact with those kids of color.
Right.
My kids.
Yeah.
And then they started smoking more weed. I don't know if I can say this. I'm going to say it. They started smoking more weed than I did in high school. That was hard to do. That's hard. I said it. I said it, and I don't lie about it. So it's like, I said, right. Well, Dad, that's all it is in school. It's this, and that. But I thought I was moving him out of that environment.
Yeah.
But in that environment, I put him more in that. And then when it was time for him to learn how to walk up and down Lowndes Avenue, you may not know where that is, or up and down Griggs over there in Fifth Ward, and be able to look at somebody with a look like, don't come over here, and keep going. Right. But when you look at a dog a certain way, the dog is out to eat you up. But if you look at a dog the way we was taught, that dog
go.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? And so I always tell them, don't let the pretty look get you in trouble. Because I get with you, right? And so we got to stop making it so soft and comfy. You know, we got to let them sleep on those rocks a little bit so they can be uncomfortable.
Yes.
So that's
when
what's
they
going
get to their grandma house, they know and appreciate what they have.
And learn to take care of grandma.
That's it. I say to Todd all the time, you know, my dad said some things to me, and I was like, yeah, such as, can you cross the street without getting hit? Of course. That's immediately. I'm just gonna look for the cars and cross right. No, you about to get hit. You need to go down. You know, and it's like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it like that. You know, it's so much. We have made them soft. The grandparents are the person who's supposed to make them soft, not the parent. Not the parenting. You got to guide them, you got to push them. But Fred, it's that time. It always be that time when
we having fun.
Yeah. So is it anywhere? What's your last words that you would like to say?
You can edit out that part when I said that smoking stuff if you want to. You can edit it out.
This is live.
I want to say, y'all, let's get people out to vote. It's so important. With so many people that got beat by batons, jumped on by dogs, water holes, taxes, and being told and turned away from the polls back in the 50s, 60s, and even further than that. But now we can come to these suburbs like Missouri City, Sugar Land, pull up in our garage, let it down, go in there, grab a cold one, sit on the couch with a remote, and never come out and vote. We don't know our neighbors, we don't know our people, and we don't go and vote. Please go and vote, people.
Yes. So everybody, we thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Fred, don't go nowhere. But listen, next week we're talking about mental health with men. Men are telling us about mental health. So we look forward to seeing you again at the Golden Square Podcast, 7 p.m. Thursday night, where the gold is pure. We're looking forward to seeing you then. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.